Should you use a financial advisor, and are they worth it? Hey, my name is Jared Grant. You are watching Grant Money, and today we're going to talk about financial advisors, financial planners, whatever you want to call them. There's many different designations. Should you use them? Are they worth it? So I'll talk about the pros, the cons, how to pick one if you're going to do that, and then some alternatives. Okay, first of all, I just mentioned the designations. I want to tell you that the designations, some of them are not that difficult to obtain. It's a matter of passing a few tests, studying for a few weeks and passing some tests. I'm not saying everyone could do it, but they're not always like these super financial minds. They just had to learn some material to pass some tests. Ultimately, what they are, and I'm not knocking this. Okay, I'm not bad mouthing it, but a lot of times the main job of one of these people is they're in sales. They're selling their services. Now, I'm not just talking about they're selling a particular investment package or a particular investment product, and they'll get a commission, although that does happen. And that's sales too. They're in sales. That's a big part of their thing. And I would very much try to be aware of how they're getting paid and watch out for that, because if they're getting paid a significant higher commission on certain products, it's likely that you will be paying for that commission. So try to find out about that and be aware of that. But no, back to what I was saying is they're not necessarily giant financial minds. They may be good, they may not, but ultimately they may be super charismatic and super magnetic and get a lot of clients. That doesn't necessarily equate with the quality. But it's really, I can't recommend or unrecommend anybody. That's just, there's just hundreds of thousands of these people, and some are good and some are not. Okay, so why would you want a financial advisor? Okay, so this is not necessarily a comprehensive list, but off the top of my head, I can't think of much. Guidance, okay, and that's not a bad thing. Guidance and like a type of counseling when the market's in turmoil, when the market is volatile. A lot of times people panic and do some things that turn out foolish. A financial advisor hopefully would help you not do that, help you to stay the course, keep the long term in mind, and hopefully they'd have you properly allocated, diversified in a way that's appropriate for your age and risk tolerance. Hopefully that again, it depends on their quality. But yeah, guidance, counseling, diversification, those are the main things. And really the biggest thing I think is kind of that counseling and comforter characteristic. That's something that I don't think you can replace with some of the other alternatives. Okay, so what are the, and please comment if you can think of some more things. I'm not trying to bash them or praise them or anything. I'm just trying to give pros and cons. Comment below if you have something to say. Oh yeah, let me pause for the commercial. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and comment below if you have anything, any ideas that I missed or anything that you think needs to be brought to the discussion. Okay, so let's talk about the negatives. Okay, the risk versus reward. Okay, that's a negative. Are you going to get rewarded for the risks that you take? And that's possibility with any alternative you make, even stuffing it under the mattress. There's risks with that because your money's going to lose value because everything else is going to inflation. Everything's going to get more expensive. So there's risk versus reward with everything. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Another negative is you have limited options. Okay, now that could be a negative. It could be a positive because it also protects you from some bad options. Because there's other options that a lot of financial advisors won't get into. Alternative investments, let's say, and there's tons of them. I mean, the big one that everybody knows is real estate, but you can buy people's life insurance settlements. It's called viatical settlements if you want to look that up. You can invest in art. You can invest in royalties from music or other things that are published. Unlimited, really, alternative investments, and financial advisors generally don't get into that stuff. And I should say, full disclosure, I do not have one at the moment. I used to work with a financial advisor, and I can tell you there's a reason I don't work with one anymore. I'm not going to say I had a horrible experience, but I just felt like over time I was like, I don't know if this is really worth it. I don't know if he's adding that much value. So, for example, he was really down on real estate. I've done really well with real estate. And, back when I was younger and I kind of listened to him more, I don't know. I might have done, I'm not blaming it on him, but I don't know why he was so down on it. And I understand his argument. I've seen other arguments and I get it, but personally, I've done well with it. Okay, so that's kind of the negatives as I see it. The fees. I didn't talk about the fees yet. That's the biggest negative. Okay. There's different fee structures. A common thing is they'll be like, okay, 1% of assets under management, and they'll have it in different steps. So like up to $100,000 assets. So if you have them managing 100,000 or less, they take 1%. And if you get more, then they take a smaller percentage. I don't know, 0.9 or 0.8 or 0.75 or whatever. The more money you get, the smaller percentage they get. Well, they're still making money because you have more money with them. So they're not going to like take a pay cut. If you have $100,000 and $10, they're still going to make more. And I question that because what are they really doing? Are they doing a more active style? I don't know. I kind of think they tend to lump a lot of their clients into categories based on the risk tolerance. And this category of 20% of my book over here is real similar portfolios. And these 50% over here, they're real similar portfolios. So again, I think it's not like custom. I'm not saying they're not giving a service, but I'm just questioning whether it's worth it. Okay, so if you want to go with a financial advisor, let's talk about how to pick it. How to pick one. I don't have a real good solution, so I'm going to talk about some things just to give you something to think about. Online reviews and stuff like that, I wouldn't even worry about that. I wouldn't even look at them because they're biased. Think about it. When do you write online reviews or reviews of any kind? I think generally people write them and they're really unfair when people have a negative experience. They'll write a real negative online review. So I think it's really not fair to look at that. And it's kind of just, I don't want to say worthless. I do look at them myself, but you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. And remember, the people writing them aren't screened or vetted or anything. Any person of any mental state can write an online review. Recommendations are hard too because most people don't have a lot of experience. They haven't worked with dozens of financial advisors. They just did the one their dad did or the one their uncle recommended or their coworker or whatever, their pastor, and they just go with them and then they recommend them to you. Honestly, I'm sorry, but I don't have a good answer. There's also things like the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce's, Dave Ramsey. I am leery of those things. Ultimately, and they're not bad things, but ultimately the people that are listed as members or whatever, they're paying to be there. It's a form of marketing. So it's not necessarily unbiased. I would definitely recommend interviewing them. I mean, that's the best thing you can do. Ask them to see the track record. Ask them to see that, the returns that they have for their firm. And they should give that to you. And I would predict that it'll be very similar to the returns of the S&P 500, if not worse. Now, they will say you don't want to be all in the S&P 500, and I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree with that. It depends on everybody's risk tolerance, and there's all kinds of stuff about you should have this much in bonds, and this much in international, and this much in domestic. They say it all as it's fact, but I find a lot of contradictions in a lot of their strategies and stuff, so I'm not going to get into that now, but just ask them for their return history. I don't think you're going to be blown away. And then ask them to show you how that compares to the S&P 500. Also, just get what does your gut tell you? Do they seem like they're just being a salesman, or do they seem like an honest, trustworthy person? But I'm sorry, I don't have any good tips on that, but there's some things to think about. Okay, so let's talk about some alternatives to a financial advisor. You could do it yourself. You could educate yourself. I recommend you do that either way. Educate yourself. There's tons of books, podcasts, articles on the internet. Just remember, anybody who can write a review can also make a website and put stuff on the internet. So be aware of that. And you can find information to support any opinion you have, good or bad. So just try reading some books. There's lots of good information out there. Podcasts, I think, are great as well. YouTube is great. There's lots of information. Okay, so you could do it yourself. You could also get a robo-advisor. I think if that's kind of what I'd lean to if you're intimidated by doing it yourself, but you'd like some guidance, a robo-advisor, and there's a bunch of them. The biggest two that I know the names of is Wealthfront and, now I'm blanking, Wealthfront, never mind, I don't know, Google it. I can't think of it right now that I'm filming, but there's several. In fact, I think even some of the names like Merrill Lynch and Vanguard are getting into that kind of thing. They're offering something like that. And if they're doing it, I think others will follow. So check out Robo-advisors. Also, and this is not necessarily an entire complete solution, but target date funds are real common. So if you have a 401k or some type of retirement thing like that set up, I hope you have something else or you're looking to have something else as well. But there's target dates in most of those products, and there's target dates you can find in your Vanguard, all your various platforms. I don't know if I can say all of them, but a lot of them have target date funds. And basically what that is you're saying, I want to retire in the year 2040 or the year 2035, whatever. Oftentimes they have 5-year increments. And if they don't have target date funds, look up Google, what should my allocation be if I want to retire in this year? And you can pretty quickly find some good advice. But target date funds, well, basically what they do is the further away the date is, the more aggressive the portfolio is. As you get closer to that date, the portfolio gets more conservative. That's a real simple way to put it. And there's other funds that do similar things. I think they call them like asset allocation funds, and they have numbers like 80-20 and 70-30 and things like that. So look up some stuff on the internet, educate yourself. I know there's lots of good sources. I know one off the top of my head is named Paul Merriman. He's an older guy who's kind of retired from his financial advisor career, but now he just tries to educate with his website and podcast. He's got a lot of good information about different strategies and allocations. That's just one off the top of my head. There's a lot of podcasts out there. Look it up, get some information. So there you go. That's some thoughts about having a financial advisor or not, some alternatives, and the pros and cons. So please, like I said, like and subscribe to this channel. And comment below if you have any thoughts. I'm sure that I missed some things. I am not a professional. I'm not giving you any advice here. I'm just giving you things to think about. All right, so thanks for watching. Again, I'm Jared Grant, and this is Grant Money. All right, I will see you in my next video.